gate leakage. So between gate and channel there is a oxide, right? So we have a, between gate and channel there is an oxide. So this is our gate. And let's say this is our oxide, and then we have the substrate. So that is the structure of metal oxide semiconductor, and we always assumed the gate current which is flowing Ig equal to 0, and the reason for that is we will have an insulator. So oxide is basically an insulator which doesn't allow any current to pass through. Now as the technology goes into smaller and smaller devices, the thickness of the oxide, TOX, okay, so that is this. Okay, so this is TOX. Okay, thickness of the oxide reduces, okay, with improvements in the technology, and therefore there is a chance of tunneling current through the oxide barrier. Okay, so there is a chance of tunneling current like this. So this is what I mean by gate leakage current. So when you apply a positive voltage signal and you have the substrate which is P type, there is a chance of leakage current because of tunneling of. So tunneling is basically a quantum mechanical phenomena. So as TOX reduces, the probability of electron tunneling through the oxide barrier increases. Okay, so in order to reduce that tunneling current, we need to keep the TOX at a certain minimum level. If the value of TOX is reduced below that minimum, then the probability of tunneling current will become significant. So we cannot keep on reducing the tunneling, we cannot keep on reducing the TOX, okay, because of this phenomena. But as the device becomes smaller and smaller, if you do not reduce TOX, then also there is problem. The problem is that the channel voltage cannot be controlled by the gate. That means the ability of gate to switch on and switch off the device is lost if the TOX value is larger. Okay, so basically it is a capacitor. So we have a parallel plate capacitor across the oxide region. So the COX we called it, which is a capacitance per unit area, which was basically epsilon ox by TOX. So this capacitance value should be large enough for better control of the situation in the interface region of the semiconductor. If this capacitance value is smaller, then even when you apply the gate voltage, there will be no much change happening in the semiconductor interface. So in order to say invert the channel, or in order to switch on the device, there should be a good control over the channel region by the gate voltage, and that is achieved only if Cox is good. Okay, so to have good control of to have good control of the channel region by the gate voltage, the value of Cox should be large enough. Now, how can you keep Cox large enough? The natural method was to reduce Tox. Okay, so that is why we always wanted to reduce Tox, so that we can have good control of the channel region by the gate voltage. But now, as you reduce the Tox, say to say 1 nanometer, okay, then the chance of tunneling current becomes prominent. So we cannot reduce the Tox to 1 nanometer in order to avoid the tunneling current. But then we should have a large enough Cox also. So the only way out is to find a material instead of the oxide insulator, find a different material which offers very large epsilon ox. Okay, so epsilon ox of silicon, or the permittivity of silicon, is basically epsilon r ox into epsilon 0, and this was around 3.9. But instead of SiO2, HFO, that is hafnium oxide. I am not sure about the formula for the composition. Let me just check it. Hafnium oxide. Yeah, it is HFO2 only. So this is one of the replacement of the insulator region. So we cannot really call it as metal oxide semiconductor, it will become metal insulator, because it's not silicon dioxide. So hafnium oxide, if you replace if hafnium oxide replaces SiO2, we can improve our insulator permittivity. So for permittivity for insulator will become, so epsilon r of say hafnium oxide, okay, or insulator, where this is going to be like 12. So it's like making it 3 times approximately. So that is a good improvement, but there is also limitation. We cannot so much increase beyond this limit. So what I was telling is Cox should be good enough, and in order to have a good Cox, either we should have epsilon large enough or we should reduce TOX, but there is a limitation in reducing TOX because of the tunneling leakage current, which is very undesirable. That will spoil the entire working of the device. So we keep the TOX value large enough in order to avoid the tunneling current, but to have COX large enough, we keep a different material instead of silicon dioxide, which has larger relative permittivity. Okay, so that's the way we can overcome the gate leakage current. Another scaling effect. Scaling effect means short channel. When you reduce the channel length, proportionally all the other dimension also should be reduced. Other effect is substrate leakage current. Substrate leakage. This I have earlier mentioned while discussing about the Bode effect. I told you that we cannot forward bias the PN junctions. Okay, so this is an N plus region, and then we have another N plus region, and wherever there is an N plus region, we will have some depletion region extending into the substrate. So this is a source and this is our drain and gate, and then we have a bulk. So usually the bulk terminal is not actually taken here, it is taken because these devices are made in a planar way, so bulk terminal is usually taken here. Okay, so you can connect anywhere, but it is not desirable to connect from below the substrate. So all connections are made on the surface of the chip, okay, on one side. So that is what we mean by planar fabrication. Everything is in a plane. Alright, so if this is base, this is Bode, so this is P substrate, and what do we mean by leakage current? If you connect your bulk or the Bode to some potential with respect to source, there could be a current between the two. Okay, so we cannot forward bias this junction, so this is a PN junction or PN plus junction. So all you can do is reverse bias this direction. So that means apply, for better operation, you apply a voltage such that the P is connected to, the substrate is connected to more negative voltage point in the circuit. So this is N channel MOSFET. So in N channel MOSFET, the bulk terminal is advised to be connected to more negative or most negative voltage point in the circuit. So that is what we refer to as, so this battery here, this is basically VSB, and the effect of this is reflected in the threshold voltage calculation. We had a parameter called gamma, right? So gamma basically tells you how much the threshold voltage is changed because of the Bode biasing. So this is what is called Bode biasing. But this Bode biasing can result in a current. Of course, one of the consequences is that the depletion region will extend more into the bulk region. So that will happen in both cases, because drain will also be connected to more positive. Here the extension may be bit more, but just for simplicity I am just showing it on one side, and then the current can flow across this junction, and the direction of current is from positive to negative. So this is a leakage current. So this is what we refer to as substrate leakage. Okay, so I sub or the substrate leakage current is the reverse saturation current across the PN junction, and usually its magnitude is of the order of say 10 raised to minus 16. If it is a silicon material, this leakage current is very negligible, so that much amperes. Okay, so that's very negligible current, and depending upon the voltage, that current will not change also much. It is almost a constant current. But in case if you reverse the direction of battery, that is, if we make the bulk region more positive compared to source, then we are basically reducing the depletion region, and thereby the current, this leakage current is going to be very large. So but if the PN junction, if the PN junction is forward biased, I sub will become very significant. Okay, so we should, that's why we say that we should never forward bias the source bulk PN junction region. Okay, so these are some additional effects which are there, which we need to take into account. Okay, now let's go to another topic, which is what about P channel MOSFET. So gradually we are moving into what is called as CMOS technology. All the circuits that we will draw will be based on CMOS logic. And before we go into all of that, let's also look at P channel, operation of a P channel MOSFET. So first we will start with the schematic. Since you already know about the schematic of an N channel, it will be easy for you. So wherever there was N plus, now there will be P plus. Okay, and earlier the substrate was made of P type, now it is N substrate. So you can make a P channel MOSFET either by taking a N substrate and then creating this P plus region. This P plus region are popularly called as P diffusion region. So those things we will come when we discuss the fabrication of these devices later. And then again, as before, we will have oxide of thickness TOX. On the top we have metal. So this is your gate. Now we will keep again the left side as the source and the right side as the drain. Now let's see what happens. First of all, we will ground. To see the operation, we will first of all ground both source and drain, and apply some voltage. So there is a bulk terminal also, we can show here. Okay, so only difference is P became N and N became P. Other than that, no difference. Now let's see what happens. Case 1, we are going to apply a VG. So let me ground the bulk also, and then I apply a voltage between so this is VGS. Okay, so I am applying a VGS. Suppose if VGS, case 1 is VGS greater than 0. Okay, what will happen if VGS greater than 0? If VGS is greater than 0, the substrate is N type, there are lots of electrons here, and all those electrons which are scattered throughout the N substrate, okay, it's everywhere. But when you see a positive voltage on the gate, these electrons are attracted more, they will get accumulated here. Okay, electrons in the N substrate will get accumulated. Accumulated in the interface. Okay, and then what is the result? The effective can there be any current if you apply a VDS in this case? So now if I apply a VDS, okay, some positive voltage if I apply here, can there be a current? There cannot be a current because there is a PN junction here and there is a PN junction here. This is between region is N type. So the equivalent circuit will look like this. So if you apply a VDS, and since we want to keep this S as source, VDS should be applied in such a way that it will be negative. Okay, so that means drain side is going to be negative, VDS less than 0. So if I apply a voltage like this, can current flow? This will be forward bias, whereas this is reverse bias. So therefore it is like one diode is closed switch, another diode is open. So current cannot flow. So IDS, which is this is IDS will be 0. Drain to source current will be 0. Okay. So current, so this is not very interesting thing. Case 1, when VGS is greater than 0, current cannot flow. So therefore it is not very interesting. So this operation mode is called accumulation mode, because the majority carriers are getting accumulated and it becomes more difficult for current to flow. Case 2, we apply VGS negative, so less than 0. So initially what happens, we will have a this electrons underneath the layer will be pushed away. Okay, so instead of drawing a separate figure, let me show that here itself, otherwise a lot of time is gone. So when electrons are pushed away, it will expose the immobile charges due to the donor impurity atom. So it will become a depletion region like this. So this is the depletion region, and there will be depletion region here also. Again, I will assume that okay, so let's give a VDS here now also. So what is going to happen? So if VDS is applied, can current flow? Not really, because there is no path, it's all depleted of carriers. So it's like a large barrier between 2p plus region. It's not n type, but it is devoid of any carriers there. So there are not enough carriers between 2p plus region, and therefore current cannot flow. Of course, there is a sub-threshold leakage current which I am not taking into account right now. So that is an additional detail, but in the first order consideration, we assume that these carrier numbers are very, very small, and therefore it's depleted of any carriers. And if there are no carriers, it's something like an insulator. So 2p plus region separated by an insulator region, and therefore current cannot flow. So again we will say that IDS is equal to 0 as the region between 2p plus regions are depleted of carriers. Okay, and this mode is what is called as the depletion mode. Okay, so VGS is there, but it is not large enough. Okay, so to specify that, I should also say that VGS is greater than VP, because VP is negative, so I should say VGS greater than VP but less than 0. Or in other words, combining these two, I can put them together, this condition, which will be VGS it will be between 0 and no, not this way. VGS between 0 and VP. So it is greater than VP, or VP means VTP, threshold voltage of PMOS. I will call it as VTP. And now onwards we will refer to the threshold voltage of NMOS as VTN to distinguish it from VTP. Okay, so this case 2 is what we refer to as the depletion mode. So here also there cannot be any current, because the region connecting two P plus regions are basically depleted of any carriers, and so there cannot be any drift current if the carrier density is very small. Case 3, we have VGS less than VTP. So threshold voltage is that voltage where we have an inversion of the channel happens. So this is called strong inversion. Like in the N plus region, the depletion region or depletion mode, you can split into two cases with respect to the surface potential, but I am like weak inversion and the depletion mode, you can split it into two categories, but I am omitting those details. Okay, so let's look at what happens here. So what will happen is there is going to be, so this is P plus, another P plus, and then we have N substrate. So inversion in the layer channel means we will have a lot of holes coming here. So you can see that P plus is connected with holes, and then there is depletion region under this, so which is basically positive immobile ions. But at the surface there is lot of holes which are connecting to P plus region, and this can result in a current flow. So it will now operate like a P substrate. If you look from the drain to source, it's like a P substrate. Majority carriers everywhere are holes. So if you apply a voltage, and the voltage we are going to apply like this, that positive is connected to source, and so the current direction is actually going to be this way. Okay, positive to negative. So we will have an IDS, but IDS we have taken in the opposite way. Okay, so actual direction is this arrow is showing the actual direction, but earlier in the derivation we used IDS, right? When we wrote IDS was positive in the case of N channel MOSFET, but now you will see that IDS will be negative. So current will flow. Okay, the actual direction is in the opposite direction of IDS. Okay, now we want to find out what is going to be the magnitude of this current. So we are considering a case where we apply a negative voltage with respect to source. So this is VGS and this is VDS. Both are negative. Okay, so what is going to happen in this case? So let's derive the expression for current. So current, so you can think of bulk also like grounded. So this is the ground. Every voltage is reference with respect to ground. So source and bulk are connected to the same potential. Okay, now the bulk is connected to the highest voltage point in the circuit. Okay, because negative voltages are given at gate and the drain. Source is the most positive out of the three terminals: gate, drain and source. Source is the most positive, ground is the most positive, all other voltages are negative. So bulk should be connected to, in a P channel device, bulk should be connected to the most positive. So that will basically ensure that the leakage current, substrate leakage current is going to be, there is going to be depletion region around this P plus, right? Okay, so now So this P plus is more negative, so the depletion region here will be larger, like before. The drain side depletion region will be larger compared to the source side, and that's because of the large reverse bias between P plus and N substrate on the drain side. So there will be lot of immobile charges here. Okay, so now let's derive the expression for this IDS. So if you can recollect the derivation for NMOS device or N channel device, we started with a dq. Now the dq is positive, and then what we did was we took we consider a small width which is like this, a dx region we took, and then what is the inversion charge density in that dx region, and we wrote it as the oxide capacitance multiplied by the voltage between the channel and the gate. Right now gate is negative, so we will just write it as the channel voltage, which I can write it as V of x minus what is the voltage that is required for the minimum voltage required for creating the inversion channel is basically a negative value of VGS, which is we call as the VTP, the threshold. So if the gate voltage is more negative than VTP, that is the case that we are considering here in case 3. So how much is the extra negative voltage? That will decide what is going to be the charge here. Okay, so we can write it as VGS minus VTP. Understand that VGS is negative, VTP is also negative. Suppose your VTP is say minus 0.8 and your VGS is say 2 volt. So the extra negative voltage is minus 2 volt. So I am saying minus 2 plus 0.8 that is equal to minus 1.2 volt. Okay, so that will be VGS minus VTP. So that will decide the amount of holes in the interface, that is in the channel. Okay, so this voltage now if I subtract this voltage from the voltage in the channel, that will be the voltage which is across the oxide layer. So this is the oxide. So Cox is the per unit area oxide capacitance. So this is basically dq is q is equal to CV form. Q is equal to CV, right? So charge on the plate of a capacitor is equal to capacitance multiplied by the voltage across it. But we need to, one side we have V of x, the other side we have VGS, but VGS minus VT is the voltage that brings the holes. Until then there are no holes, so that is why we have to, instead of taking VGS, we take VGS minus VTP. So initial voltage of VGS, which is less than VTP or which is greater than VTP, was basically creating depletion region, and then when it reached VTP, then only it will start creating inversion region. So the negative voltage which is applied above minus 0.8, that will decide how much is going to be the inversion charge, the hole charge. Okay, so subtract it from the channel voltage, and it is going to be plus positive charge. So V of x minus VGS minus, this is entire thing is going to be a positive thing. Okay, so this multiplied by Cox. Now in this dx region we will have basically, if you look at the cross section area, the volume is basically W, which is basically this dimension multiplying dx. Okay, multiplying dx. So that is basically what? That is basically the volume of the charge region. Okay, so otherwise it is per unit area, because Cox is defined as per unit area. So if Cox is per unit area, Cox into V will give you charge density per unit area, and then this dx into W will give you the area when you look from above, like this, with the W and dx. Okay. So when you look from above, whatever area you see, so this region, so that is basically W into dx, area of this strip when you look from top. Okay, per unit area it is Cox into this voltage difference. So when you multiply with that, you have basically the charge inside this much unit, this much area. Okay, so this divided by dt. Now I can bring this W to the left side, just like we did for NMOS, and then dx by dt. What is dx by dt? Dx by dt is my drift velocity of holes, which is basically mu p, which is mobility of the holes, into electric field. Okay, it will be plus here because hole move in the direction of electric field, so the drift velocity is in the same direction. So I can bring in this substitution and write it as, so this is equal to mu p Cox W V of x minus VGS minus VTP into the electric field. So the current is going to go in the direction of the electric field. That is always the case. Any drift current is, whether it is due to holes or electron, it will always be in the direction of electric field. But the charges, if they are holes, they move in the direction of field. If they are electrons, they move in the opposite direction. Now we have another relation, which is minus dV by dx. So if I substitute, I will get minus mu p Cox by V of x minus VGS minus VTP into dV of x. Now this, so this is basically what? This is basically current, right? This is dq by dt is basically the current, and we are basically looking at that current expression. So so this is basically current in the direction of x. Okay, what we are doing is current in the direction of x. So let me just call it as I, and then at this dx I am going to take it to the other side. Okay, I substituted for E as minus dV of x by dx and then took dx to the other side. Now I can integrate on both sides. So if I integrate on both sides from 0 to L, if I do the integration, so here the voltage is going from 0 to VDS. Okay, so left hand side we will get basically L, okay, L minus 0, integral of dx is basically x, and when you put the limit it will be L minus 0, so it will be I into L, and I take that L to the other side, so minus mu p Cox W by L, and then what do we get here? Here we are going to get the first term is going to be v of x square by 2, integral of x is x square by 2, so and you put the limit, you will get v ds square by 2 minus, here what we will get, vgs minus vtp into vds. So this is what we will get. Now I can absorb this minus sign inside, and right, so I can write it as mu p Cox W by L vgs minus vtp. So this is exactly the same current that we got earlier, vds square by 2. Okay, now if I write it as IDS like previously, then I will have an additional minus sign. Okay, so what is IDS means? IDS means the drain to source current. This is the IDS. Actual direction of current is from left to right. It is in the direction of x. Okay, x increases from x is increasing from left to right, right? The direction of x is basically like this. This is the direction in which x increases. X is 0 here and L here. So the actual direction of current I is in the direction of x, but if I write it as IDS, then I will have a minus sign. You see, so to be clarified of that, I am putting it as minus sign. IDS is minus sign. So the reason why we are writing it as IDS, just to have a comparison between with N MOSFET. So you see that we got exactly the same expression except for a minus sign for IDS. IDS is negative because the actual direction of current is here. So let's look at each of this term here in the bracket. VGS minus VTP, this is going to be, as I told you earlier, it is something like this, minus, it is a negative voltage. VDS is negative because the drain voltage is given as negative with respect to source, so VDS is negative. So negative into negative is going to be positive. Square of negative is also positive. Okay, so if the first term is larger than the second term, we have a positive quantity, okay, in the bracket, and then IDS, as I told you, IDS, drain to source current, is going to be negative, which means that my current is actually flowing in the opposite direction. This is the way I is flowing. So this sign change, you need to keep that in mind. So the equations are exactly the same, only difference is the sign change. Now we had a combined equation. Now if I want to introduce channel length modulation, I can do that. So IDS, I will write it as Kp into W by L into V max into VGS minus VTP into minus Vmax by 2. So I have taken one VDS outside, which I am now calling it as Vmax. 1, then plus lambda VDS. Okay, I can write like this, where like before, there earlier for NMOS we had V min, but here I have V max. So what is V max? V max is the maximum of I can write it like this. It's going to be the maximum of three things. What were the things? If it is VGS minus VTP or VD SAT, okay, and what else? It could be VGS minus VTP or VDS itself. Okay, so it will be maximum of these three. So remember that all of these quantities are negative. Here VGS minus VTP, VD SAT, VDS, all are negative. Okay, and the way I have taken, I have not put a negative sign here. Also Kp and lambda are also negative. Okay. So all of these quantities are negative. So for PMOS, if we write the equation in this manner, it's a single current equation. Of course, there is also one more case which we did not include. It is equal to 0 if VGS is greater than VTP. So this is for VGS less than VTP. Okay, so that's like switching on and off the device. But if it is on device, either it can be in ohmic region. So this corresponds to so this is basically corresponding to linear region. Here let's call it as linear region. And this is what? Velocity saturation. And this is what? Pinch off. Pinch off saturation. So these three, all of these are negative, and the curve I did not plot. So if I plot the curve, it will basically look like it's going to be in the third quadrant. So this is my VDS. Okay, it's going to be negative. Okay, so this is my IDS. IDS is also negative. So you can see that this is a linear region, and then it will enter into pinch off, or if your VD SAT is somewhere here, So this is your VD sat. So before it pinch offs, suppose the pinch off is likely to happen somewhere here. Until then it was so if it was supposed to be like this, then what would happen is that since VD sat comes early, as you reduce the VDS, will saturate because of the velocity saturation. So all of the things that we discussed earlier, but everything is now in the third quadrant. So that is the only difference, because IDS is negative, VDS is negative, and lambda is negative. Everything is negative. All voltages are negative. All parameters are negative. Okay, so okay, I will stop here. We will continue from here in the next class.